These are some of the most painful motorcycle deaths I could find on the internet. And seriously, ladies and boxheads, the last story on this list is just terrifying. And up first is the Ibis Alex Baez killing, where a simple highway road rage incident between a pickup truck and a motorcycle escalates into a brutal, devastating murder. Let me take you to the beginning. It's a typical April afternoon on the Long Island Expressway in New York. And down that highway, 29-year-old Ibis Alex Baez is riding his 2016 Kawasaki motorcycle. It's routine for him. He's on his way to work, helmet on, focused, doing exactly what he's done countless times before. Ibis is an HVAC installer, by the way, so just a regular, hard-working guy heading to a job site. His friends describe him as the kind of man who'd give you the shirt off his back, and apparently the best damn fisherman any of them had ever seen. A guy with genuine goodness in his heart. He isn't racing, he isn't doing anything reckless on that bike, he's simply on his way to work. But on the road with Ibis that afternoon is someone who is the complete opposite of calm. 64-year-old Brian Knoll behind the wheel of a Ford pickup truck. They're just two guys driving down the same expressway. But for whatever unknown reason, some negative tension appears between them. Maybe it's a dirty look, someone cuts the other off. Whatever it is, it ignites their road rage instantly. Brian angrily rolls down his window. Ibis looks over, and suddenly things get heated. Two men are screaming at each other as vehicles around them fly by at 70, 80 miles an hour. Ibis on his bike, exposed and vulnerable. Brian is in a massive truck towering beside him, and as the shouting escalates, it turns from your typical road rage incident to something far more serious. While Ibis rides alongside the truck, he allegedly reaches out and swipes his hand along Brian's side mirror. Brian's face fills with rage. That small action sends him over the damn edge. He jerks his truck into Ibis's lane. Not enough to hit him, but enough to let Ibis know he could. Just a warning. But Brian doesn't stop there. He keeps doing it, darting in and out of Ibis's lane just inches from clipping his bike. A weird intimidation tactic on a highway full of cars. And every time the truck lunges toward him, Ibis has to quickly react, fighting to stay balanced on his bike. But neither of them are backing down. Brian snaps. There's no hesitation this time, no warning, no scare tactic. He cranks the wheel hard. The truck violently lunges sideways. Brian's pickup truck plows directly into Ibis's motorcycle with a brutal, deliberate strike. In a split second, everything changes. The bike jerks violently. Ibis is launched sideways, completely helpless. No time to scream. His helmet harshly smacks against the side of the truck. His Kawasaki motorcycle folds beneath the absolute crushing weight of the truck. The impact launches them both into the metal guardrail with horrifying speed. And then Brian doesn't pull his truck away. No, he doesn't stop. His truck pins Ibis right against the steel barrier, grinding his bones, crushing him and his bike there with crazy force as he continues to drive down the highway. As you can imagine, Ibis never stood a damn chance. No human being could survive the impact of thousands of pounds of that truck, trapping them against a guardrail. So, within seconds, Ibis is dead. He would never make it to that HVAC job, never be able to be out on the open water fishing again, never able to see his family again. Not long after the impact, paramedics arrive and the police tape goes up around the crash site. Ibis Alex Baez is forever memorialized in that spot on the highway. Now you are probably wondering what happened to Brian. Just hours later, 64-year-old Brian Knoll is arrested and charged with second-degree murder. In court, Knoll pleaded not guilty, with his lawyer describing the incident as an unfortunate accident that was caused by a motorcyclist who was operating his motorcycle in the most reckless of ways. Which, if you want my expert box opinion, is bullshit. Up next is the hit and drag incident, where a speeding truck violently collides with two motorcycles head-on, then drags their bodies against the ground without stopping. This story begins in Uttar Pradesh, a northern state of India. For some context, it's the early evening, traffic is light, and the visibility is clear on a quiet road located near the city of Etah. Two motorcycles are casually cruising down the road, each with two people on them. These guys are returning home after performing a sacred pilgrimage in another city not too far from Etah. Our story has four guys, two bikes, one road. They ride steadily in their own lane. But then far down the road, something massive appears. A large commercial truck. At first, it's just a shape in the distance, driving towards them in the opposite lane. Yet as it came closer, something about it felt off. It's moving too fast. Way too fast for such a huge vehicle. The motorcyclists think nothing of it. The truck will just drive by them. If only that were the case. Without warning, the truck swerves. Not a minor drift or a slight correction. A violent, horrifying lunge straight across the center line, straight at them. The riders have no time to react. This truck doesn't just graze them or clip their bikes. It obliterates both the motorcycles head on. The impact is insane. A massive collision that echoes across the road. But what comes next is even worse. Because the truck doesn't stop. Not even for a second. Instead, it continues barreling down the road, dragging the wreckage and the victims beneath its massive tires. The men are crushed instantly, their bodies grinding against the coarse pavement as the truck drags them down the road. Their helmets shatter, limbs twist, bones break under the crushing weight. The sound is horrifying, scraping metal, tearing flesh. A trail forms behind the truck. A gruesome mixture of blood, flesh, and what remains of the motorcycles. Bright red streaks stain the road in long smears. The truck drags the victims for over 100 feet before the driver finally slams on the brakes. The vehicle screeches to a sudden halt. Only then does the driver climb out. He turns to look behind the truck, and what he sees is a scene of pure horror. 3 men dead, their bloody remains scattered from the point of impact all the way to the truck's final stopping place. One rider somehow miraculously still alive, but barely. His body is mangled, his breaths shallow and slow. He is clinging to life by the thinnest thread imaginable. The driver stands there for just a moment, just long enough to understand the magnitude of what he has just done, and then he runs. Turns around and bolts in the opposite direction, sprinting away from the brutal scene that he created. No attempt to help, no call for assistance, no remorse. Yep, just runs away. A desperate escape from the absolute carnage he left behind. Thankfully, the driver was eventually caught and arrested after a police manhunt. The surviving victim was sent to a local hospital in critical condition. What a miracle to have survived such a brutal, unforgiving series of events. Next, we have the Phuket motorbike disaster, where a Russian man loses control of his motorcycle and slams so hard into a streetlight that the aftermath just might make you sick. Let me take you to one of the world's most popular vacation spots, Phuket, Thailand. Blue water, beach bars, tropical nightlife. But unfortunately, we aren't here to vacation. In Phuket, there is a road that is known for the deadliest crashes in the world. It's past midnight on April 1st, and no, this is not an April Fool's prank. The night starts pretty normally, and a 43-year-old Russian tourist, a man known as a skilled rider, decides for whatever reason that he wants to go for a midnight ride. He had rented a Honda Forza two-wheeler, a powerful, heavy bike. He fires it up and rolls onto the main road. First it's smooth, then it's fast, then it's too fast. He isn't just speeding, he is tearing down this road at crazy speeds. And ladies and box heads, your boy Box know how to tear some things down at crazy speeds too. Anyways, the engine roars through the quiet street. He pushes harder, leaning lower, moving even quicker. Ahead of him is a curve, not just a gentle bend. No, it's a sharp, deceptive, dangerous curve. He approaches this curve at a speed that gives him no time and no chance to react. No amount of confidence or skill that he has will be able to help him. As he attempts to take the curve, he completely loses control over the bike. The tires skid beneath him and he desperately swerves across the road. And then, BAM! A massive collision. He slams full force into a streetlight, the impact so violent it echoes across the empty road like a damn bomb going off. And just a warning, the aftermath is where the nightmare of this accident truly begins. The crash was so brutal, so shockingly powerful that the man's body was literally torn in half during the impact. His lower body remains crumpled at the base of the streetlight, all limp and twisted. His upper half is hurled more than 60 feet away, flung through the air like a rag doll before slamming onto the concrete. Blood pours across the road in thick, dark red pools. Pieces of small, torn flesh are scattered across the pavement like pieces of confetti. Fragments of the motorbike are everywhere. Shattered plastics, bent metal, twisted wiring. The entire scene looks like the aftermath of an explosion rather than a motorcycle crash. His body is mangled far beyond recognition. There is no face, no identity left to see. And let me get this straight, ladies and boxheads. The only reason the authorities could confirm who he was, it was because his phone, somehow untouched after the destruction, laid on the ground, still lit up, displaying Russian text on the screen. Guys, this video single-handedly will be the reason why you will never see my boxhead ass on a motorcycle. Our next story is a decapitation, where a seemingly typical motorcycle crash results in a terrifying decapitation and massive fire. This story again takes place in Thailand, on another stretch of dangerous roadway in the Doi Saket district of Chiang Mai. It all begins with a 33-year-old rider on a large sport bike, one powerful and capable enough of hitting extreme speeds. The day is brutally hot, a kind of humid, suffocating heat that makes you wish it were winter. The man is sweating bullets in his helmet. He leans forward, gripping the handlebars and feeling the hot air against his body. He picks up speed a little bit more. Wait, real quick, I made that sound over dramatic. My bad. Cars blur past him as he weaves between them. He's not reckless, not exactly. He tries to stay cautious. He threads through the traffic, switching in and out of the lanes smoothly. Then the road ahead begins to curve. A sharp, vicious curve. Another one of Thailand's infamous bends. Seriously, what is it with this country and these deadly corners? But he approaches it too fast. Much too fast. The front wheel twitches just once before the entire motorcycle jerks violently sideways. The rider loses control instantly. The tires screech. It veers right off the main roadway. There's no time to brake, not even time to breathe. Just a split second of pure terror and helplessness. Then bang! The impact is catastrophic. The rider slams directly into a steel barrier with such unimaginable force that it severs his head cleanly from his body on contact. His helmeted head bounces and rolls down the asphalt, leaving a trail of blood behind it. His lifeless body crumples where it struck the barrier. Yeah, he's dead immediately. Blood gushes on the hot pavement, steaming under the strong sun. And that battered, crushed, and twisted motorcycle skids a few feet ahead, before settling over on its side. For just a moment, everything is eerily still. Then the bike erupts into flames. An intense fire engulfs it, growing stronger because of the leaking fuel and heat of the summer day. In seconds, the flames devour the wreckage and send thick, black smoke spiraling into the sky. By the time rescue workers arrive, the scene looks like something from a horror movie. A mangled, headless body lying in a pool of blood. The head itself, with the helmet still on, rolled away, and the wreckage is still intensely burning. The responders move fast, using chemical extinguishers to control the fire and evaluate the horrific scene. All it took was a second without control to take this man's life. Next up, we have the death of Marco Simoncelli, a tragedy that shocked the world. Not on a quiet street, not on a hidden road, but a motorcycle death on live international television in front of millions. October 23, 2011, during the Malaysian Motorcycle Grand Prix at the Sepang circuit. Marco Simoncelli is 24 years old, a wild-haired, talented rising star from Italy. One of the most promising talents in MotoGP, a rider beloved by fans and respected by his rivals. Simoncelli has been competing in MotoGP championships for the past 10 years, since 2002, starting in the 125cc class and making his way up to where he is now in the top MotoGP class. He's for sure no beginner. He's a true professional, and on this day he's confident, ready to show the world once again what he was capable of. The riders line up on the grid, engines revving, waiting for their signal to begin. They're prepared to take on the tough race ahead of them. There are riders from numerous countries taking part in this race. Germany, Spain, France, the USA, Italy, and the list just goes on. Viewers from all around the world were tuned in to root for their countries. But none of these viewers were expecting to see the horrific scene that is to come. No one was expecting tragedy. The lights go out and the race kicks into motion. The bikes shoot forward, riding just mere inches past each other at insane speeds. With all the engines roaring at once, the sound is deafening. Riders lean so low their knees nearly make contact with the asphalt. Every turn is dangerous. Every straight offers a burst of speed as the bikes reach well over 180, 190, even 200 miles per hour. Italy's Simoncelli is racing like he always does, pushing the limits, fighting for position. He's locked into 4th place after the first lap and still riding with confidence. Then comes lap 2, turn 11 on the racetrack. The turn that will become one of the most replayed, most devastating moments in MotoGP history. As Simoncelli leans into the turn, something happens. Something small but catastrophic. His rear tire completely loses traction. He feels it immediately. The bike tilts and the tires skid across the asphalt. This is just a bad moment in a race. Nothing more. Something he's recovered from before. A low side slide would mean giving up his 4th place position, maybe even losing the race. But not death, right? What he could have never have anticipated, what no rider could prepare for, is what comes next. The tire suddenly regains traction, instantly and violently. In one brutal jerk, the bike snaps upright and shoots Simoncelli straight back into the racing line, directly into the path of 2 other riders coming in hot. American rider Colin Edwards and fellow Italian rider Valentino Rossi. The moment is simply too fast for any human reaction. Their bikes collide with Simoncelli at a terrifying speed. The impact is brutal. Marco's helmet is ripped right off his head and flung across the asphalt like a toy. His body twists unnaturally. He is struck hard in the head, in the chest, and then he's thrown onto the grass, lying completely motionless. The crowd gasps and commentators fall silent mid-sentence. Millions of viewers are frozen in front of their TV. The world just stops. Emergency personnel sprint across the asphalt, desperately waving red flags. Medics come to the aid of his limp body. An ambulance immediately rushes in. Simoncelli is taken to the Circuit Medical Center where they perform CPR for 45 minutes. 45 whole minutes of desperate, relentless effort. But Simoncelli's injuries are just too severe. Less than an hour after the initial impact, Marco Simoncelli succumbed to his injuries and is pronounced dead. The race was immediately red flagged and cancelled after just 2 laps. No winner, no celebration. Just pure devastation. That day, the world would mourn Marco Simoncelli, a young star taken far too soon in a horrible tragedy. And ladies and box heads, if you want to hear about more painful death stories, click the video on the screen.